Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. It's just me tonight, Dan. Cass has the flu. He's not feeling too well. His first episode, we've had it in about 2 weeks. Believe it or not, we took a little break after our award show. I went a nice little trip down to Tennessee for the holiday weekend. Cass has the flu, unfortunately, but this isn't going to be a crazy episode. I did want to touch on the breakout players for 2025, and I did tier them. I kind of went through the roster, looked at the depth chart, and I threw these guys into three tiers. So these are the studs. These are like the surefire. These guys are going to be starters, potential NFL draft picks. I got my next tier, big roles, potential starters. They might start a couple games. They'll definitely play a lot of snaps during the game. They might rotate. And then my third tier is flash potential. They might be a year away, but we'll be talking about them in 2026. And obviously in the offseason, they will play at times. They might obviously rotate. They will flash. They might have a big moment. Um, so those are my three tiers to this. Now, note too, I did leave. I want to make this clear. I'm leaving guys like Carnell Tate. If you're like Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, guys who have really played a lot and were contributors on the national championship team. Yes, like Carnell Tate is going to have a better season this year. No doubt he's going to have more than 700 yards, but he's not a breakout guy. Like he already broke out in my opinion. These are guys that I'll put on this list that um, have not officially, had a full season. So I just want to make that clear. So let's get it started. This is my studs category. And the first one on this, I think this guy's potential Heisman sleeper, and it's James Peoples. If you just look at him, look what he's done last year, kind of in reserve duty. He was the third back, played very well. It didn't feel like there was much of a drop off when you took him out for Trey and Judkins in mop up duty. So, and if you look at the winter workouts, he's huge. He looks ripped. So I got James Peoples as stud. I think he's going to start obviously. And right next to him is his going to be his backfield mate, C.J. Donaldson Jr. I also have him as a stud. He's a little more proven Donaldson. But if you also look at the pictures from him from winter workouts, dude's an absolute monster. People are getting Beanie Wells vibes. He's a house. He's a hoss. And at West Virginia, he's had three really solid seasons. In 2022, he did put on a show against Pitt, and also against TCU. Had a really good game. And that was the year TCU went to the national championship. So Donaldson and Peoples, those are my two guys out of the backfield. The next guy, this isn't a surprise. Um, Pro Football Focus loves him. Everyone loves him. He's obviously going to have a great year. It's Brandon Inniss. I think that this is a no-brainer. He was already kind of a contributor, and he was averaging basically to about 2 touches a game. When you look at all his touches between special teams and receptions for the Buckeyes, so he was a contributor, but obviously those numbers are going to go up next year. I expect a big year from Inniss. Shifting to the offensive line, I got Phillip Daniels. If you look at Phillip Daniels, he's obviously the Minnesota transfer, and he is 6'5", 313 pounds, offensive tackle. He started 4 games at right tackle in 2024, played over 300 offensive snaps for Minnesota. Um, his pro football focus grades were, all right. A pass blocking grade is 65.4, run blocking 66.7. It's just I love what he brings to the table. Obviously, he is the cousin of Paris Johnson Jr. Monica Daniels did a great job, obviously, getting him in the door here at Ohio State. So, I think he's going to be a surefire guy. He grew up obviously as an Ohio kid too. I think we underrate that at times. It means a lot to him. And then also I got the left tackle, Ethan Oninawa, and he's a redshirt senior, 6'6", 345 pounds. He had 34 starts at Rice. He just in his pro football look. I recognize though he played at Rice, so obviously I think Minnesota's competition versus Rice's competition, there's a difference there, but his pro football focus numbers were a lot stronger than Daniels. He had a 74.6 pass blocking grade and a 70 sorry. He had an overall grade of 74.6 and a pass blocking grade of 79.3. He only allowed one sack and 350 pass blocking snaps last season. He's just a monster though. So I think that's gonna obviously, he's obviously gonna be a stud. I'm staying away from quarterbacks right now. Obviously, whoever wins the starting job, they're gonna at Ohio State, they are gonna be in this stud category. So I think I'm just gonna leave it open to interpretation, just stud, whoever wins the quarterback competition. But I think I will say this. I think the competition is gonna be closer than people expect. I think Lincoln or Sayin could, whoever starts is going to be a stud between those two. But I don't want to say just yet because I don't know who I'm leaning yet. Um, on the defense, I basically have the entire defensive line as my studs. Obviously, we've talked highly about Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson on this show. I don't think there's going to be much of a drop off between JTT and Jack Sawyer. Uh, yeah, I mean, we saw what Caden Curry has done. We saw what Kenyatta Jackson has done in the playoff run. They're both special, I think. And they're just once they get opportunities, I think a lot of people will realize they're very special. On the defensive line, I also have Edric Houston. Love Edric Houston. The fact that he was a freshman playing, meaningful snaps for Ohio State during the national title run. I think that kind of cements he's going to be a stud. I was going to be curious, like, are they going to beef him up and make him play defensive tackle, or are they going to move him around a little outside? I think they're going to have him in the interior right now. Now, Matt Patricia obviously got hired by Ohio State. He likes to run a lot of 3-4. So we'll probably have, two defensive ends and a D tackle. And we can obviously have a lot of rotation at that defensive tackle spot. I also have Caden McDonald there. Caden McDonald was just so phenomenal this year at times. And it's, we're obviously losing Tyleik Williams and Ty Hamilton. But I feel like with, these four guys coming in, it's not going to be as bad of a drop off as what it should be when you lose a defensive line of Jack Sawyer, JTT, Ty Hamilton, and Tyleik Williams. It's not going to be that bad, believe it or not. I think I'm very confident in this defensive line. Moving to the linebacker position, I have Arvell Reese as my stud. Obviously another Ohio kid. Dude hits. As Nebraska knows. He's a thumper. I think he's going to fill in very nicely. And finally, my last stud at the safety spot is going to be Jalen McLean. I think, if you go back and watch what he did the last couple of weeks, he made some very good plays, flashed at times. He's going to be taking over in the safety spot, obviously with Ohio State losing a lot of guys in the secondary. And I believe McLean is going to play almost like a Jordan Hancock type of role. I know it's weird because Hartford really is like, it's weird because McLean isn't what Lathan was. They're different body types, different skill sets. I think McLean's a lot stronger in man. But I feel like if we go two safeties, I think McLean will kind of play the Hancock role where Hancock was kind of playing at times. And then Hartford's going to be kind of the Lathan. And I think that this is where I go into my next tier, the big roles / potential starters. I have Malik Hartford in this role. I think he's like the quintessential guy for this tier. So these are guys who are going to play a lot of snaps. They might start a game or two depending on what defense Patricia comes out with. I have Hartford as this a guy, in this category, just because obviously Caleb Downs is not coming off the field. And if you look at the depth chart, Hartford is below Caleb Downs in the depth chart. That doesn't mean, though, that Hartford is not going to play meaningful snaps and he's not going to start at times. If we go too high, Downs is probably going to be playing like that hybrid spy linebacker position that he used to play. And I will preface this too. It depends on what Patricia wants to do. If we're going to kind of keep it the same from what we were doing in the playoffs, that's how I'm viewing some of this stuff. But if we go 3-4, obviously that changes some things. Carson, who couldn't make the show today because he had a flight, but he was supposed to come on. He did break down Patricia's defenses and how he schemes. And basically, Patricia likes to game plan specifically for the offense that they're playing. So the defense might look different from week to week. I think Hartford is a guy too who he might not be the starter on paper, but he's a best 11 guy at times. Depending on what they come out with, he's going to be a top 11 player, and you need to find him on the field. Another guy on the defense I kind of feel is similar to Hartford is CJ Hicks. And I know we hear this a lot. I'm not putting him in the stud category. I just think he's going to have a good role, and he'll probably start a game or two, a couple games. He's going to be obviously. I think they're going to move him to rusher. They're going to rush him a lot off the edge, and I think that's going to fit him really well. And my last guy on defense, I have Lorenzo Styles at nickelback. It just feels like when you look at the corners, I don't know if Devin Sanchez and Aaron Scott and Bryce West, I don't know which ones are going to be ready out of that group just yet. Just yet. Lorenzo did a very good job, though, playing nickelback this season at times. I think he's going to keep that role. He'll probably see a little more snaps. Also, I just want to preface, I also want to explain, too, I didn't have Jermaine Matthews on this list at all. In my opinion, too, he's kind of like the Carnell Tate. Like, he's already kind of proven himself. I would have him as a stud if I would put him on the list, but I'm keeping him off the list because I think Jermaine Matthews is already proven, in my opinion, and we could debate that. On the offensive side of the ball, I have another receiver. I have Mylan Graham. He's probably going to be the fourth receiver. He's going to battle with Ennis. I think Ennis has this locked up, though. I'd be shocked if Mylan Graham beat him out. With that being said, I think Mylan's going to rotate a lot. I think Mylan will get, I think he'll kind of almost fit into the Ennis role, 2 touches a game. And Ennis will obviously fall into the Carnell Tate role almost. And then Tate's going to fall into the Abuka role. And Jeremiah Smith is just going to be Jeremiah. So that's how I kind of see. I see just Graham stepping up a little bit. Ennis obviously getting more volume. Tate taking the next jump. But that's why I have Graham as a big role potential starter. I don't think he's going to start unless there's a lot of injuries, but he's going to play. I also have, and this might sound crazy because at times the tape was terrible. I think Tegra Shabola, he might not start because that you could make that debate is going to be Austin Seierfeld. Who should start at guard? I just think Tegra is going to have a good role this year, even if he's a spare on the line. I would like to hope he makes the jump, but I mean, realistically, it's going to be Anara at left tackle, Luke Montgomery left guard, Hinsman at center, Philip Daniels at right tackle, and then it's really between Seierfeld and Shabola for the right guard spot. I really like. I think Seierfeld will probably start over Tegra. It's tough to say, man. It's tough to say because Tegra's technique was bad at times. With that being said, I think Tegra, he might play at tackle. If some guys go down, I think they might slide him outside at times. So that's why I kind of have him in that tier. Because I think he's going to be the spare, but I think he played a big role this year. It just wasn't, he wasn't great at all, but I think he'll have a good role. maybe probably start a couple games. Um, and then this is my last category, my last tier. This is the flash potential. So these guys will make a play here or there. Probably not going to start. They will most likely rotate most times. They'll play some meaningful snaps in a rotation situational basis. I have for this, I have my two tight ends. I have Jelani Thurman, Bennett Christian. They were huge when we went through tight end sets this year. If you just throw on the tape, Ohio State loved to throw the multiple tight end set, especially in the playoff run. And they were really good at pass blocking, run blocking, not down by the goal line. Um, Thurman needs to obviously, I think he'll improve with his hands. I think he'll become a little more natural this year. And then Bennett, I think, was just kind of working out of the doghouse a little bit. He really flashed at times. Obviously, that one touchdown he had. I expect both of them though to be utilized a little more. I think they're both very unique players, and situationally, they will, they will shine. Um, I also have Bryson Rogers. He had some catches against Iowa this year, and that's all we really heard from him. I feel like he's going to be that fifth receiver. Will he put it together? I don't know, but I know he will flash at times. And then obviously, given the situation, he will play. Um, I on the defensive line, I also have Ty. Where is it? I have. Give me 1 second. I have Taiwan Malone Jr. and Jason Moore. I just think the defensive tackle spot, they're gonna rotate a lot. Um, I think obviously Curry and Kenyatta are pretty. Those are going to be the staples of the line. I think though, Malone and Moore they will rotate in for Houston and McDonald. That's why I put them on there. And then finally, my last guy who's going to flash. I know some people are absolutely love this guy. Is Peyton Pierce. Peyton Pierce. He just looks the part. Um, I just I can't wait to watch Peyton Pierce, man. He'll obviously be that third linebacker, um, third inside backer. I want to point out. Um, so yeah, that I mean that's my tiers of guy breakout players, and I like I said though, like Jeremiah Smith, Igbinosun. I see like obviously Sonny Styles, um, Jermaine Matthews. I know that's a biased one. Montgomery, Hinsman, um, like Carnell Tate, all those guys I think have already broken out. The only one I think you really argue is Jermaine Matthews. I think he's been such a face though of this team throughout the run. I think he's already broken out. I think we'll really see him elevate this year though. But yeah, that's really all I got for today. On a quick note, I do want to address these two things. I do want to send my condolences to the families of Donovan Munger and Ben Chrisman. Unfortunately, both these former Buckeyes have passed away. It's very sad. Munger was 30 years old. The cause of death has not been announced. Um, Ben Chrisman, this one's very sad. He was 21 years old. Obviously, he transferred to UNLV, was expected to be a starter for them, and everyone just said nothing but great things about the kid. He was just a great guy all around. Everyone said, and it's very sad. And it's you can go read the articles on 11 Warriors and all these websites. It just is heartbreaking, losing people that young. And I just want to send, my condolences to those families. Um, and then that's really all I got. We will be back next week with, I believe we're going to be getting on Michigan Metal to debate the Ohio State, and Michigan. Well, the Michigan's now Ohio. It's not Ohio State. It's the Michigan scandal. We're gonna kind of do a courtroom type show, and then we're Cass should hopefully be healthy, and we're gonna talk some ball. So Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. It was a short one tonight, real short one, but I had to get something up for y'all. But thank you so much and go Bucks.